Hello, YouTube. So here is my challenge to atheists. I'm going to propose an idea, and I want you guys to explain to me why this is not very logical and a good conclusion. So if one wanted to live forever, if one wanted to gain eternal life, would it then not follow that we should do everything possible to stack the odds in our favor of gaining eternal life? That's the first point. Then you have to ask yourself, what can we do to possibly gain increased chances of living forever? And what follows from that is trying to be the best person you possibly can be, because there might be some sort of God, just a possibility. Because in this community of people who debate about religion, hopefully we can all admit that we don't know for sure if there's a God or not. We should all be agnostic. We shouldn't pretend to know whether or not God exists. So if God is even just a possibility, if there's just a possibility that we're going to be judged by a God, then does it not follow that we should try to be exceedingly moral, exceedingly virtuous, in hopes of gaining favor and reward from this theoretical God that might exist and that one day might judge our lives? Okay, because we can all do better, can't we? I mean, we all think we have a conscience. We're trying to be moral people. Whether you're an atheist or a Christian, you're trying to be a good person, okay? A lot of people think they're a good person, but we can all do better. So if you're a good person without the idea that there's a God watching your life and that there's going to be a judgment, great, good for you. But can't you do even better? And would it not be helpful to think that maybe there's going to be a judgment on your life? Couldn't that give you more incentive to be even a better person than you are? If you thought that there might be some sort of judgment, if you just had that in the back of your head, that your life was going to be judged. And we can all do that, whether or not we're an atheist, an agnostic, a Christian. We can all think that there's just a possibility that there's a God and live accordingly to that possibility, trying to be perfect, because we don't know the standards of a theoretical God. We don't know anything about this God, right? If there was a God, we wouldn't have the information about the attributes of this God, how strict their judgment would be, what their criteria would be for salvation. So the idea I'm talking about here is just prepare for what's possible. Of course, no one knows if there's a God or not, so just be prepared for a God just in case. To me, that makes logical sense. Now, if you have a case against what I'm saying here, if you disagree, please make a video response. Send it to me. I'm really interested to hear. And if you agree with me, please say so. I've worked this out. I don't think there's any logical holes in this. I mean, just trying to be as good as possible just in case there's a God. I mean, and I'm all for the idea of being moral just for morality's sake. But let's face it, as humans, we're all inclined to be selfish. We have a sort of selfish bent. We're all thinking about ourselves. And if you thought this way, what I'm talking about here, that there might be some sort of judgment, if you just had this in your mind, then it might inspire you to give more money to charity, to be a better person, to help more people. Because I think we can all use some more motivation at the end of the day to be a good person. And the fear of a theoretical God is motivation, let's face it. And it's possible. You might, if you actually lived according to this philosophy, you might end up being a better person. Theoretically, you might end up being saved or getting eternal life because of it, if it turns out that there was a God. Makes sense. And you could do other things to stack the odds in your favor. Maybe there's not a God, in which case we should try to live forever physically with life extension technology. So there's all these little things we can do to stack the odds in our favor in order to better our odds of living forever. And to me, that's what makes sense. It's all about living forever. If you die, what's the point of life? It's all about surviving for eternity. That if anything we can do to help our chances of surviving and living forever, that to me seems a good idea. And preparing for a God is just one of those things we can do. So that's the challenge. Please give me your ideas. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thank you. Goodbye.